Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm the principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud lawyers who care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Mia Poppe. She is the founding and managing partner of Poppe Associates, and she's a matrimonial attorney with offices in Midtown Manhattan and White Plains, New York. Welcome, Mia.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. I was very excited to be a guest today to talk about Lawyers Who Care.
So, Mia, tell us what brought you to the law in the first place, way back in the day.
Way back in the day. So, Andrew, I like to tell people that the law found me. So right out of college, Citicorp recruited me, and I was in banking for 22 years. I was a banking executive, and I worked for Citicorp and then GE Capital, and then I rounded out my career at Bank of America. But a crossover is during that time whenever anyone I knew or that knew somebody that I knew was going through a divorce, I always got these, well, what do you think, Mia, questions. And, I had no legal acumen or legal training, but those questions would always arise. And those questions always followed me. So there came a point in my life after I divorced and I had been doing really well in banking that I just thought, I'm a banker. I make good money. I make excellent bonuses. What meaningful do I do with these bonuses? And I made the quality decision for my life to buy back my time. And I left the workplace as a single mom of children. And I started law school. So I started law school, and sure enough, just in my second semester classes, took a family law class, and everything was really intuitive. And also, the professor would call on me a lot to opine. And so it really is that matrimonial law, just through the laws of attraction, if you will, Andrew,
right,
found me. And so I went to law school and in North Carolina, moved to New York, and I started a family law practice, matrimonial law practice, because it had followed me literally.
So, you're going through, well, first off, you have folks coming to you pre your divorce to talk about divorce. And then you going through that personally, and you're guiding yourself and your family and trying to stay centered there. And you say, you know what? I have so much life experience here and the law called you, as did that practice niche. And you're putting all of that together. How does that kind of manifest itself today in the practice? Or is it just unthinking and this is just who you are?
So, prior to the taping, you and I had some banter about geography. And my geography is, I'm a Southerner. I'm from the South. And one of the things that's rooted in my DNA is pragmatism. So, that's my approach in life, that I tend to be very pragmatic. Also, I'm female gendered. I'm a mother. And so there's a big nurturing gene in me also. And so just the marriage between that Southern pragmatism, which has a big leaning towards common sense, and that nurturing gene, which has a big leaning to caring for those in our charge, and the marriage of those two things really further pushed me into the practice of matrimonial law.
So the practice is busy, and I'm sure you have client stories that that either might warm your heart or keep you up at night, or all the above. Or can you share one of those stories with us today?
Uh, Andrew, I have many of those stories. And I have many of those stories because I tell every one of my clients, and have been saying this for decades, is that my relationship with them, my client, is extremely personal. So clients are not fungible to me. They are not revenue to me. It is very, very personal. And the offshoot of that is that I have many friends today who were former clients. And as I think back to one story, is I had a client, and I'll just call her Jenny, and she was, very smart woman, educated woman, had a master's degree in the sciences, but she was getting plummeted in a divorce, and a divorce in which I represented her in. And she was getting plummeted because her soon to be ex-husband was a very win at all costs, very successful business person, an international business person, a win at all cost. And he was pulling tricks, that even I at the time had not seen. One of those tricks was, because he was an international businessman, he had come upon a fake passport for the child, biometrics completed, not a passport that somebody could generate at Staples, but allegedly found it. My client was born out of the country, had strong connections out of the country, but he produced this fake passport that had biometrics attached to it. And I imagine some of your listeners can relate to what I mean when I say biometrics, like somebody has turned in fingerprints, there's been an eye scan, and he was able to successfully, with this passport, convince the court that my client was a flight risk. And my client, on my watch, lost custody, temporary custody, of her then 3-year-old son, and had supervised parenting time 5 hours a week. And this endured for probably 2 months. And Andrew, for 2 months, my rest was not there, because this is the most horrific scenario that any matrimonial attorney can encounter. Your client, who had been a stay-at-home mom, lost custody of her child, and I did not sleep. And I was working on her case strategy. She would get emails from me at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And this was more than traumatic. But there came a day. Oh, and the other thing, Andrew, I was at that time 8 months pregnant with my twin daughters, not sleeping. And I gave birth at a hospital in Manhattan called Weill Cornell. And hours after I gave birth, literally hours after I gave birth, her and her mother were standing at my bedside with papers. Needless to say, I always tell people, like, when they're
Hold on, Mia, how did they know that you were at that hospital? You must have given them some info.
Okay, so the client, so Andrew, this goes into a bigger funny story. The client probably ascertained my whereabouts from my office. But before I gave birth, when I went to the hospital, Andrew, before I gave birth, a very prominent, probably one of our largest matrimonial law firms in the city. If I said the name, everybody in this space would know the name. If I said the name of the attorney that represented her husband, everybody would certainly know this woman's name, because she is, a forefront in the profession. But somehow her office, and my office did not tell her office found out where I was, and they sent a service processor with emergency papers to Weill Cornell. Weill Cornell unstrapped me from a fetal monitor, and I met the service processor. So thereafter, I gave birth, and she showed up with her mother at my bedside at Weill Cornell. And so now I'm at Weill Cornell. I have 2 instances of people on business matters, and I gave birth when I was 49, and Weill Cornell released me. Like, they released me early. But let's fast forward as I
Hold on. Before we go, does that mean then that part of your hospital stay was tax deductible because it was being used for business purposes?
Okay, Andrew, everybody should be Team Andrew, because no, it was not. And it was Weill Cornell, and they administer care in their prenatal department that's above the standard. So everybody who gives birth at that hospital leaves with a bill. So, but no, we didn't. But lawyers who care, I want to tell you what I tell all my clients. And this is an outlier situation, because this was horrific. A stay-at-home mom lost custody of her 3-year-old child for about the span of 2 months, all premised on lies. But when there are distressing situations, and when there are lies and there is gamesmanship, I always tell my clients, just wait for it. Wait for it. Because liars always tell a lie that went too far. And they also always cross, because they're already crossing our boundaries because they're lying. But give them time, they will cross the terminal boundary of the judge. They will do something or conjure up a story that makes a judge in an instant say, wait a minute. And then that unravels all of the lies. So I always say, wait for it. Just wait for it.
Mia, if there was one thing that you wanted to get across to the viewers of this video podcast, if there was one thing that they would want to remember Mia Poppe about, what would that be?
That I'm a relentless advocate for my clients, and there is no client that I have who is losing sleep, and I'm not losing sleep. And listen, I believe in longevity in youth, and I'm not going to lose sleep for too long, which means I am going to get this conundrum unraveled, because we're not going to miss too many nights of sleep. I'm a relentless advocate.
I'd like to thank my special guest, Mia Poppe, today. Again, she's the founding and managing partner of Poppe Associates in New York City and in White Plains, New York. Mia, can you provide our audience with some contact information?
Thank you, Andrew. So you can find me. My website is miapoppe.com. I have a large social media presence. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. That's Mia Poppe, MIAPOPPE _ESQ. And your listeners can contact my office directly at 212-792-9501.
Wonderful. This has been the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond. And I think you just heard the story that absolutely underscores Mia's commitment to that. If you're an attorney or no one who does go above and beyond, hospital visits notwithstanding, feel free to reach out to us at 914-666-6600. Mia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.